Hello and welcome to another update video about GALA. I've received a lot of requests for GALA updates, but to be honest, it isn't doing anything really. So there is not really much new stuff to communicate, in addition to what I already communicated in previous videos. So these TAs are pretty much still up to date. GALA is one of the coins that dropped too much in this bear market. Yeah, as you know, I'm always referring to the 88.7% Fibonacci retracement level here on the linear chart. We can just need to make sure that this starts at 0 the Fibs, because it was GALA's first bull run, but it doesn't make a great difference. But here, that's where we are, and you can see that the price dropped impulsively below the 88.7% Fib level that is here at 10 cents in early in May. Now, that is not good for a coin. It doesn't mean the coin will die necessarily or anything, but it is really, really bad for the sentiment. It is bad for the sentiment. And you can clearly see that. The moment when we dropped below it, we did go down, we retested it from below. So there was still a lot of interest there, but because the retest was successful from below, basically confirmed the previous support level, the 88.7% Fib level, as resistance. So it's quite a meaningful level. And we just have been sliding down since then, and there is no sign of it stopping. Yes, it's slowing down, certainly, but most cryptos are slowing down the downtrend. The problem is with GALA, it still makes lower lows. Other coins aren't really doing lower lows at the moment. Some are, but GALA just doesn't stop. Yeah. So yeah, there is always a bullish interpretation and a bearish interpretation. This chart shows quite nicely why I am generally very careful with altcoins, especially in the bear market. Yeah, it just doesn't make sense to just go very aggressively all in on these altcoins. I remember I watched a video of another YouTuber, I can't remember his name, but he bought like tons of GALA, I think around, I don't know, the 8 cent mark or something. Obviously it keeps dropping, and that is why, unless we see a confirmed bottom in place for some of these altcoins, and unless we go back into a bull run in the crypto market, altcoins are extremely risky, especially the altcoins which don't really have a very long chart history. And that doesn't have anything to do with the fundamental side of things, because according to fundamentals, some of these projects should really do really well. But no, fundamentals are not making prices. It's market sentiment, fear and greed. And we're currently in a phase where sentiment is really, really bad, negative, fear. But the problem is that if coins drop below a certain level, it will make it very hard for sentiment to shift again. Yeah, which doesn't mean it won't recover. Yeah, a lot of cryptos in the last bear market also dropped below the 88.7% Fib level. They've done really well, but it still is the risk, because which of these projects are going to make it and which aren't. And then it comes maybe down to, fundamentals. If you believe in a project, you can of course invest. That's entirely up to you. However, my personal opinion is, as long as we do not see a bullish signal on some of these charts, I'm not going to touch them. Yeah, maybe, if I'm interested in a project, maybe scaling in here and there with very low amounts that I wouldn't even, necessarily bother if they are lost. Well, I would, but it's not like it would, it would destroy me or anything. Really just small amounts, because that's the whole idea for me for an altcoin, is put a little bit in it and get hopefully a lot out of it. Some of these altcoins may be 100x, yeah. And to be honest, 100x is not even an unrealistic expectation for GALA. However, the condition, of course, is that it does recover from the current prices. And the problem that we have with GALA is that if we look at the log chart, we see it a little bit better. That this could very easily be an ABC structure to the upside, yeah. As I said, there is a bullish interpretation. There's also a bearish one. The problem here is that we have dropped below, that we have dropped below the 88.7% Fib level on the linear chart. And here, this is a very clear 3-wave move. Yeah, so it's an ABC, so that makes a 5-wave impulse to the downside quite likely, actually, which doesn't really add to a bullish outlook. Yeah, and doesn't really give a lot of confidence about this chart. However, there are lots of coins which only topped in 3 waves, and as soon as we see an impulse down here emerging to the upside, we can get carefully bullish. But we don't see that at the moment, yeah? So the bullish interpretation would be wave 1 to the upside, currently a wave 2 to the downside, probably not finished yet. the next wave would be a wave 3 and can take us way above, you know, maybe $1 to $2. Absolutely. We can actually measure that and get a target. I just have to mention, be careful with these moon counts, because some of these in the past haven't worked out. Yeah, they are the condition for these is that the chart really does recover. And target in the new all-time high territory would be around 145 to 180. That's the next all-time high target, yeah, for GALA in a wave 3. Bear in mind there will be a wave 3 and a wave 4 and another wave 5 to the upside that could take us to around 230. So you get roughly maybe 100x out of this, if it all goes well. If it all goes well. So there's no guarantees, yeah, especially with a coin that dropped below the 88.7% FIB level. So I did mention it in the previous video. We've got a descending trend line here. You could argue that what we're doing here, all of this, is a descending wedge. So it's a possible bullish reversal pattern. But all a descending wedge is, it tells you that the downward pressure is reducing. The sellers are getting exhausted. But no wonder sellers are getting exhausted. I mean, there is not much more space to zero, okay? So it's quite logical that it can't just keep dropping like this, yeah? It has to slow down at some point. And this is the opportunity we get here, that a break out of the wedge could be an indication that things are changing here. But at the moment, we are just not there yet, yeah? So purely a retest and a few green candles and purely a retest from the wedge from below won't really help. We need a substantial breakout at this stage. And then we have a first indication that a low has been made. I mean, we're now at around 2.4 cents. Literally, there is no support left. I cannot even define any additional support areas. There just isn't anything left. If I add the VRVP to the chart, there is nothing, you know. It may take a moment to load. But there won't be anything, because here, all you get is the current price range, the start down here at basically 2 cents. But there isn't any more clusters of support, so it just keeps sliding. Yeah, and it will slide as long as it slides. And to be honest, the way we came down here really looks like a wave 3. So if this here was a wave 3, then the move to the upside was most likely a wave 4. And then we are heading down in wave 5, and we've already broken below the low of that third wave, which was here at 2.9 cents. And we just need to wait for a reversal signal now. That's really it, you know. And if you really count this in terms of Elliott waves, maybe an ending diagonal, then you could say in this fifth wave here, we have possibly done something like a 1, 2, here a 3, 4, and we could now really see the end of it. But then we could say we are in the fifth wave, and within this fifth wave, again here possibly also an ending diagonal in an ending diagonal. But this is purely, you know, a little bit of speculation now, because we really need that signal into the other direction. Well, we could say we had here a 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. And yeah, now we're waiting for a signal. The problem is the movement of the low at the moment is very, very weak. So I'm not convinced that a bottom has been made. And I would only be convinced if I see a proper 5-wave impulsive price action to the upside and 3 waves down. Basically a correction to the downside after an impulse to the upside. And then a breakout out of this range here to the upside. Until then, I would really be extremely careful with GALA, because even if we break out of this wedge to the upside, to be honest, we are still way below the 88.7% FIB level. And it is that FIB level that marks the sentiment shift, really. So just be careful here. Anybody who wants to chuck some bits in, I mean, it's up to you. Yeah. The advantage at least is that you can put a little bit in here. Maybe even with a very tight stop loss, because we are at basically you could say an all-time low nearly. So the invalidation point for anything bullish here is basically below the last low. So you could either use a stop loss or you don't use a stop loss and you risk losing it all. But if you have a very low position size, you might not really care if you spread your risk across different altcoins. If you want to do something like that, which is of course risky, but you could do that. And if 5 of them survive and 5 don't, 5 of them survive and do 100x and 5 of them don't, and you just, you lose a bit of money, but the other ones with 100x, they cover everything easily. That's one other strategy. But yeah, just be careful with these altcoins, and this just keeps dropping. So it's basically now, unfortunately, in a long downtrend, and has dropped more than many other coins, and that is not good. Yeah, so I think keep an eye on this sort of 2 cent level, but as long as there is no sign for a reversal, I don't see any reason to be aggressively long here or anything. Okay, and that's my update about GALA. I hope you liked the update. If you did, please hit the like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. And if you really like the content, then please check out the channel membership. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye-bye.